After working with dozens of clients and analyzing their AI accounts, I can tell you with confidence that 95% of people are not using ChatGPT to its full capacity. So if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner or somebody working in a business who wants to be 10 times more effective using ChatGPT on a day-to-day basis, then this video is going to be for you. And before we dive into the more advanced stuff and some of the use cases, let's start by just covering the basics. So a few important things to know. Number one, up here on the top right, you can turn on temporary chat. So this could be good if you are a developer and you're adding in some webhooks, or like you're trying to fix some errors and bugs in code or automations, and there's going to be webhooks and private information. Temporary chat could be really useful for that type of scenario. You can also use the different models up here. So ChatGPT 5 right now will auto decide which models to use, but you can actually tell it which ones you want it to use if you know you're working on a certain task that requires, just basic answers, basic knowledge. Then you can go instant. If you need something that has better intelligence, you can go pro. And then of course we have the classic GPT 4.0 version back here that we can continue to use as well. Also down here on the bottom left, we want to make sure that we customize ChatGPT. So you can give it some context of what you do. We can give it more of a different type of personality. So it can be cynic, robot, listener, nerd, what traits it should have. But the part that I like is telling it what words and phrases it should not use, because a lot of these words and phrases, they're not really the way that people talk, but for some reason it just continues to write them. Like in the realm of, we will always start a blog post off with in the realm of AI automation. It's just totally ridiculous. So I try and stop it at this point. However, I will say that adding more of these types of details into your initial prompt as well is going to be like a second layer on top of this, because it doesn't always get this right. It is getting better as each model comes out. Typically it will follow these excluded words better and better, but it's not perfect. So we've got to be aware of that. Now, once we have all of those set up, then we can continue with some more of the advanced parts of this workflow. Let's dive in. Now, if you come into your settings and you go to your connectors, you can see here we've got a couple of connectors like Google Calendar and Google Drive. But the other benefit that not a lot of people know about is that if you download the app for your workspace, then what you can do is have access to a few other connectors. Now, if we open up a new chat, then we have this new icon here, at least on Mac, and we have access to our notes, we have access to our terminal as well. So these can be quite beneficial for running different scripts locally, but also if you're like me, then you might have notes all over the place. So I have my notes here for this video of using ChatGPT. Let's just say, what are the most advanced techniques for business owners based on the ChatGPT notes? So now we can actually chat with our notes directly. So based on your ChatGPT 5 notes, here are the most advanced features. So there's a little teaser into the rest of the video, but you can see that we can chat with those notes like this as well. Now that we're back inside of ChatGPT on the web, then we're going to dive into some of the more important parts of this. And I really am a big fan of GPTs. So there's GPTs for just about anything. You can search for them here. You can see some of our history. We've used some for creating JSON prompt for Nano Banana, JSON prompt for VO3. And one of the ones that we use on a day-to-day basis is the NAN assistant. So this is connected to a lot of the documentation from NAN, and we use this on a day-to-day basis when we are building automation. Each of the team members have a ChatGPT account, and they're getting access and they're finding these types of GPTs in order to help them work faster and solve problems much faster. So I find that this is great for working with NAN. We also use one for Airtable. What these GPTs really do is it allows you to just prompt these GPTs much faster than if you were to prompt normally. Because if you were to prompt normally, you'd have to give tons of context of what you're prompting about, make sure that it fully understands what Airtable is, what some of the formulas are, for example. However, because these are connected to the documentation of these platforms, I can simply say, create me a formula for this, and it will do it. Whereas if you say that to ChatGPT, without these GPTs, it sometimes doesn't understand the context, and it might create a formula for Google Sheets, for example. Now, if you have a pro account, then you also get access to Sora. So Sora is a great way to generate images as well. I like these types of ones. Like if you were to build a viral page, you can definitely do something like this with generating these types of images and then animating it with VO3 or something like that could be kind of cool. But you can see that Sora allows you to generate some pretty cool stuff. Now, this is something that we don't use yet, but we probably should, which is you can connect your GitHub, you can run the Codex feature, which is basically a code assistant, a co-pilot when they're generating their code. Now, the other most important part of setting up this workflow for success are your projects. So we have a second project here for NAM. So we've uploaded a lot of different JSON files. So the downside of projects is they only allow 40 files. We actually use projects in Claude a whole lot more. I'm going to talk about Claude in another video, and make sure you subscribe for that. But you only allow 40 files when it comes to projects. But the idea is that we want to be setting up projects for all of the main components of what we're actually doing inside of our business. So we'll create, NAN is our main component. We work with many clients on a day-to-day basis, helping them automate their business and automate their workflows. And I'm going to give you a little teaser at some of those that we've built at the end of this video. But we're giving it a bunch of files and we're giving it some instructions. The instructions can be basic or they can be a bit more detailed. We just set basic ones here because we've got so many files. And we're asking it to do a certain job. So again, this is giving it more context up front, which means when you start prompting it, you don't have to be a prompt engineer. So I think a really great part of these tools are the projects themselves. So spending a few hours this week would be important for you to set up different projects for different internal projects so that you can have a better system. Now we create them for some of our clients. We have like thumbnails, we have social graphics creators, like prompt engineering type stuff. I also have one for my health. So I've uploaded all of my health data in there. I don't really care too much about whether they train on it. Like, it doesn't matter to me. So I upload all of that stuff and I'm chatting to it on a weekly basis saying, hey, here's how I'm feeling. What do you suggest? Here's what I'm eating at the moment. Can I improve? All of those types of things. So setting up projects that are specific to you and your role in your business is going to allow you to just really advance your capabilities when using these tools. Now, the other advanced way that we're using ChatGPT at the moment is for image generation. We're starting to use that a whole lot more. Let's dive into one thing that we've been doing recently is creating images like this for news announcements on the Big Moves Instagram page. So you probably see this style all over the place. We would basically generate a background image inside of AI, and then we would insert it into a Canva template so that we could add the headline at the bottom and make sure it looks nice and so forth. Now, I wondered recently, is like, can we actually do that inside of AI completely instead? So we started creating some JSON prompts, which I'm going to dive into in another video specifically around using JSON for image creation. So make sure you subscribe for that. But using JSON allows you to have much more control over what you're trying to generate. So I went through a few iterations here to figure out the right JSON that I needed. And then I simply added in an article. So I just copy and pasted an article that we were reading around Notebook LM's video overviews feature now supports 80 languages, and asked it to generate an image like this with a headline that looks on brand for us. So we've got this JSON here. We've had to go through a couple of iterations. And as you can see here, it got it pretty damn close. So obviously it missed out on the line across there and the logo. The sizing is off a little bit, but it's pretty good. Now I said generated by 4x5, and then it cleaned it up a little bit. It's even got the swipe little badge here on the right. The other more advanced techniques that we're using for images as well is, and we've built an actual automation for this. We're not so much using the ChatGPT dashboard, but we were working with an e-commerce company. They wanted to generate AI images to use on social media, but the problem was if we regenerated the product image itself, it would always get the finer details wrong on the image. So it would maybe not do the logo correctly. It would change the words so the words don't look correct. So what we came up with instead is that what we can do is get AI to reference this image, analyze it, and then just have a generalized prompt that says, create a portrait photo of a confident, joyful woman with makeup derived from the uploaded product image. The exact shade of the product to be applied, and give some information on the woman, what the lighting should be, created with a Canon EOS camera, blurred background, soft color correction. So we're saying we're trying to get an image that has been generated after she's used it. So now you can see that it's created this image here, and you can see the color of her lips basically matches the color of that product. So we were also doing, if you look at different makeup brands, they do like this blob style in all of their imagery to just showcase what the color looks like. So we're then creating those types of blob styles with that product image as well. This allowed us to create AI images that looked somewhat real, but it wasn't a fully product AI generated image that didn't look correct, and then you could definitely tell it was AI. So these types of scenarios have actually been really great for e-com brands and the different clients that we've worked with. And then once you start using ChatGPT a lot, you'll begin to build a database of the same prompts that you continue to use in your job, and you'll be doing the same processes over and over again. At that point, you may not know that automations can actually do that part of your role for you. So once we have a full system plus the templates of the prompts, we can then automate that entire workflow. And that's basically what we do at makebigmoves.ai is we help businesses take the existing workflows that they are doing today on a day-to-day basis inside of ChatGPT, where they're doing the same thing over and over again, and then we automate them for you. So instead of that task taking maybe a couple of hours a day, it's done within minutes, maybe completely automated where you're not spending any time on it at all. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of a few of those workflows now inside of our NAN account. So here's one that we're just moving across from Make at the moment. So this is for our YouTube channel. So basically it generates all of the YouTube assets that we need, which is the YouTube title, description, timestamps, a text for the thumbnail, the first comment, the thumbnail image prompt as well. It then turns the video into a blog post, it automatically posts it to WordPress. It then generates a blog post thumbnail. It adds that thumbnail to WordPress and sets it as a featured image. And then we turn this transcript from the YouTube video into carousels, reels, teaser scripts, promo emails, newsletter emails, and then we create other video ideas based off that video. So all of that is automated in a single workflow. We have another one here where we're doing a similar thing where we're getting a transcript from our Airtable database, and then we're messaging the model and turning it into dozens and dozens of short social media posts based on viral templates that we've found from different places around the web. Here's another one here that does a similar thing where we have a whole bunch of templates lined up. It's pulling from Airtable, it's generating images, it's setting those images in the right place. So all of these workflows can be automated if you have the prompts already created. So anything you're doing more than once, and of course there's gonna be a little bit of different context, like maybe you're creating different marketing campaigns, but it's the same marketing flow. It's the same emails that you write with the same prompt. All of that can now be automated, and that's exactly what we do at Make Big Moves. Now, one of the most impressive parts of ChatGPT is their new agent feature. So let's dive into that now. So now we just come into a new chat and we're just going to click on the plus here. I'm going to go to agent mode. And here I'm going to just type in a prompt here, which says, go to jetstar.com.au and search for a one-way flight to Bali on any day between October 7 to 11. I'm a frequent flyer and want to pay with points. I'd also like an exit row. Find me the best price and begin the booking. So now it's actually going to open up a window and go there, and it's going to give an error. I don't know what's happened there, but let's see if it figures it out, and we'll let it continue on its own. So you can see it's actually looking for all of the different types of websites that it could potentially log into, and it finally found it. So maybe I gave it the wrong website there, but eventually it found it itself, which is pretty impressive. Like just watching this play out in real time is pretty insane, right? So now it's added in Gold Coast and then Bali, and then it's going to search for the different dates one way. Pretty impressive. So I'm going to let this run and let's see what happens. Now, of course, why we let this run, like obviously you're not going to sit there and watch it do its thing because you might as well just be doing it yourself. But the whole point of these agents, and while we might not be able to use a whole bunch of them now, but the whole point of these agents is that eventually you'll be able to sit down at your desk in the morning and it'll have access into all of your different tools, and you can start it on 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 different jobs. And it will just go off and run for the next few minutes, few hours, depending on what that job is. And then you can come back and maybe you have a call with your team. You can come back and you've got 10 tasks already completed by the time you finish that call. That's where ChatGPT is going right now with these agents. And it's ultimately going to make a lot of the automation work that I do inside of NAN completely obsolete, because we'll be able to just do it in a UI like ChatGPT and all of these other tools without any of the building of automations and like building in APIs. So as you can see right now, it's actually not allowing the bot to do so. So some of these bigger companies might actually have a block on the bots doing these types of things at the moment. Hopefully they open them up, because it's going to allow us to become so much better at these things, but it's just going around in circles at the moment. So I'm actually going to stop that one, but you can see of what some of the potential capabilities could be. Now, I've actually used Google Gemini for a task like this, where they have the direct integration into Google Flights and into Google Hotels. So in this use case, you'd probably use Gemini, but let's try a different one. So basically I'm going to say, go to TechCrunch artificial intelligence category and analyze all of the articles from the last 24 hours, determine if they're relevant for our target audience, which are small business owners and creators. If they are, create the text for a social media post that is non-biased and encourages conversation. And here we go. So it worked for 6 minutes and it created the different articles that I asked it to. So we've got article here, Amazon launches Lens Live, WordPress shows off Telex, Layer X uses AI. So it's done all of those, and then it's created social media posts down here. So for a very basic prompt, I think that's pretty cool, right? Like now, if I was to do this for real, then I would create a much more detailed prompt than this. I would give it examples of the social media prompt or the output that I'm looking for. I would give it better instructions for the type of articles that I'm looking for. But as you can see here, it's done a pretty amazing job. Now, that's just one use case. This is something that we do on a daily basis, right? And then the other thing that we've done is that we now have automations that generate the image. So as you start to piece all of this together, then this is how you can become 10 times faster when building these types of workflows. So these are some of the advanced techniques that we're using inside of our business on a day-to-day basis, that we're helping clients set up these projects and these GPTs so that they can have components of their business integrated into ChatGPT, so you can be faster, so you can be more effective, so it can be more on brand. And that's the ultimate goal of AI. AI will produce great stuff if you feed in great information. Likewise, AI will produce terrible stuff if you don't give it enough context and you don't prompt it correctly. So I hope these tips were valuable, and if they were, there's many more coming for all of the different platforms, so make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.